Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to my August tip of the month. This is Don Smith, and I'm glad you stopped by and are going to take a little bit of time here to watch the video. This one's going to actually be short today. We have had a busy month of August here, and I apologize for getting this out so late, but better late than never, as they say. Today, I want to teach, but more demonstrate a concept that I think is very important. And this concept came to me from this book that I've read at least 3 or 4 times, and I really should go back and reread it again. There's so much in it. Vision and Art, The Biology of Seeing by Margaret Livingstone. It, if you are in the visual arts as either a still photographer or a videographer, do yourself a favor, go on Amazon, order this book. I'm not sure if you can find it like on iBooks or anything like that. Maybe you can. I love when I get a book like this to get the hardbound copy, and Amazon would have it, probably have even used copies. The concept I want to teach you today comes from chapter 6 of Margaret's book. And the title of that chapter is The Next Level of Color Processing, Surround Effects. We're all in the world of having to do processing these days. Am I correct? I mean, none of us anymore, unless you're a film shooter still, so I won't say all of you, we are now not only the photographer on location, but we are also the lab. I think all of you would agree with that. All of you have probably spent endless hours processing. I am actually one of those strange people that enjoy processing every bit as much as I do being out in the field. After 46 years of being a professional photographer, excuse me, and especially, I was an early adopter into digital. I started with my first digital camera, a Canon D30. I'll even take it a step behind that. I started with the Canon, both Canon and Nikon developed the original digital cameras for Kodak. And those cameras at the time were about $30,000. And I was working as a sports photographer for the San Jose Sharks as a team photographer with them. And we got a call from the league one day, and they said, "You guys are in Silicon Valley. We want you to lead us into the digital era." My partner, Rocky Winder, who was awesome at film and came from a film processing background, ran labs, all of that, knew it backwards and forward, very technical minded, wasn't really into it. He didn't think, at the time, and I know this sounds funny now, but at the time, we weren't really sure if this whole digital thing was going to take off. I can remember reading Galen Rowell, who I looked up to immensely, saying that digital would be 10 to 20 years down the line. Well, guess what? The freight train came, and within 5 years, everybody was converted over to digital. So we are the lab, whether you like it or not. And I say 50% of what I do, I apologize if I've said this yet, is out in the field capturing images. And 50% of what we do is behind the computer working that image to display it to what I try to do with my processing is I try to convey a feeling. I know the feeling I felt when I was in the field seeing it, and now I want to come and process this image and hopefully convey that feeling to as many viewers as I can. That's my philosophy. That's where I'm coming from. So let's get into 5 pictures today that I want to show you. These are all pictures I've recently shot. I actually was working on that just before I came on, so I'll take the marching ants away. This is a vineyard in the Paso Robles. I live in Morro Bay, California. For those of you who don't know me and don't follow my Facebook or Instagram posts, and that is located in the Central California coast. We live in a town called Morro Bay, California. And up the road from us is a beautiful place called Atascadero and Paso Robles, and they are world famous for their wineries. In fact, this picture was captured in Paso Robles, California, one of 200 vineyards that are located in the area. It's, you usually people think of Napa when they see vineyards, but we're every bit as world renowned for wine tasting. I'm not a wine snob. I have lived here 2 years and have never been wine tasting yet. I'm waiting for some friends of ours that are into wine tasting to come visit us. But let's get just a little bit behind the backstory of these 5 images. And then I'm just going to go through a little cycle on what I do when I'm processing. This isn't my processing technique. Rather, you're going to see this is my surround. And this I learned by reading Margaret Livingstone's chapter 6 of her book, How We Present Our Images. And it's going to change color and tone. So the backstory on this image, my wife had rented an Airbnb that's actually sat on this vineyard. And we were the only people there because it was during COVID. The winery itself only opened up for an hour a day. They produced some great wine. Pellegrini, I believe, is their name, and I apologize. It's P-E-L-L, Pellettiere, Pellettiere Estate Winery, and that is in Paso Robles, California, for those of you wanting to check it out. We were sitting out on the back porch. I can remember one evening when the twilight wedge came in, and I've gone through the twilight wedge and how it's formed on one of my recent posts on Facebook. But basically, it's just you only see it on a clear day at a higher elevation. I've actually seen it at the coast, so I'm going to amend that. But it's when the sun slips below the horizon, and due to light scatter, all the cold light is scattered out, and this warm band of light forms over the top of this blue light. And the blue light is really just the Earth's shadow. It's kind of freaky to wrap your head around it, but it's just physics. And you will see it on any at dawn in the morning. You will see it, and you will see it at twilight at night, assuming it's a blank blue sky day. And in the mountains, it'll be even more pronounced. For those of you that photograph a lot up in the mountains, you know what I'm talking about. So that's how this is produced. So I wanted to capture this sense of the vineyards under this twilight wedge. And this is all of these 5 images I'm going to show you are all fully processed. This is my vision. But what I want to show you is the background here. Now, I am on a monitor. I don't, this is a BenQ 36-inch monitor I process on. If you process on an iPad, and I know a lot of people are starting to do that these days, I'm not so sure this is going to work. But this is for those of you that use Photoshop, you're on the Creative Cloud program. If I was to hover my mouse anywhere out here in the surround color, generally, and I right click, this little window is going to open up. Generally, I like processing against a white background. And because when I frame my picture, I frame them as if they were going to be hanging in a gallery. And that's white matte with a simple metal black frame. That's how I do framed images. I also do images where I will do variations of a metallic print. I won't get into all the types that I do. And then on a handful of times, I will do a canvas print, but I haven't done one of those in years. And if I do those, that nowadays, I do a thin wrap canvas. So those are the 3 types I print. But typically, I'm printing pretty much either metallic or a variation of, there's all different variations of metallic. If I'm doing a frame, and I go through Bay Photo Labs out of Santa Cruz, California. They're one of the biggest online labs in the world, if not the biggest. They do a fantastic job and have handled all of my printing needs ever since I first picked up a camera in high school. And that was a long, long time ago. Okay, what I'm going to do is, and the point I want to make, let's walk you through this, and I'm going to walk you through on all 5 images. Let's just focus on this picture. I want you to focus on tone and tonality, and I'm going to go back to black, and I'm going to go to medium gray. Okay? Every time I change over, and by the way, you see me clicking custom. That's because I don't know why. In Lightroom, you can do this, and they actually give you a choice of white. But Photoshop makes you come down here to select custom color. You have to put the little circle way up there in the white, and then you click OK. I'm going to cancel out of this, and that's how I create my white. Come on, Adobe, you need to be giving us white in these. So custom's going to be white. Again, focus on the color, focus on the tonality. Let's go to medium gray. Okay. To my eye, as I cycle through these various backgrounds, the color really doesn't change, but the image starts to appear lighter. So let's go back to white. The image looks darker, especially down in here for me. Let's go to medium gray. The image is starting to lighten up. Let's go to all black. This now I can see into very clearly. Okay, so that's photo number one. So let's jump into another photo. I just shot this the other night here in my town of Morro Bay. And I had plotted this full moonrise that was going to come up over the top of these two hills. That's listed as Black Hill, but the locals call this Black Mountain. I knew this moon was going to come right up over the top of this at about 7:30, and sunset was 7:35, so that was going to put the moonrise right into the beautiful twilight wedge, which you see was, you know, we hadn't even gotten the earth shadow forming yet. It was all the way down. As the sun would sink lower, then you would see the blue start to come up. So I came out, and what was the bonus is I remembered when I was plotting this, I knew exactly where I needed to go over by the harbor entrance. This is the entrance of the harbor. This is downtown Morro Bay, and then these are obviously the homes behind Morro Bay. And I remember these otters were hanging out in this one area for the past 2 months. They used to hang out, and they will move back there over by a pier that's blocked right over here that's called South T Pier. And it's a little actual otter nursery where you can show up to Morro Bay and they'll be in there. But for some reason, over the last 2 months, they've been hanging out right here. And when I showed up, it was like bonus time. I couldn't believe it. Well, so that's how I got this photo. That's the backstory of it. So let's start out again. I always start white and work to black. That to me looks just about the way I wanted this picture processed. Why? Because once again, I am thinking about possibly hanging this in a gallery or framing this and taking it to one of the mini galleries downtown and putting it on consignment. Let me go to medium gray. Okay, things seem to lighten up a bit. Let me go to black. Things seem to lighten up even more. Again, I can't stress how important it is to think about your surround color. And also, most of my pictures as yours are probably seen, well, I won't say probably. I've learned this from Getty Images. I've been a longtime contributor and contract member with them. And occasionally they will host podcasts. And I was on one about 1.5 years ago, and they told us 96% of everybody viewing your images are going to be viewing them on a smartphone. So what does that tell me? Well, this is the other thing now I'm starting to do as I process. That's about the size most people are going to see this image. Is it going to work on a smartphone? I don't think so, because I think, unless they blow it up, that chevron of birds, shorebirds coming over, I call it a chevron because it looks like, you know, kind of that shape, they're going to disappear. So let's go to medium gray. Can't see them there really. I bring the image up where somebody on a laptop or a big screen computer, they'll go, oh, look, that's cool. He got those birds flying over there. Let's go to black. Now it looks really light, so let's shrink that down. Yeah, I think I could start to see that. So now you got to think about, Okay, where am I putting this image out? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it some other site? I have a site I've been with since day one of posting on social media called A-3, AMINUS, and the number three. And they are out of the Netherlands. And Gary Hart and I started with them. Their search engine optimization is off the charts, SEO. In fact, it's what put, not Getty, but it was me. It was that website that put me on the map with Apple Images. And I'm not sure if I'm off or Apple Computers, excuse me. I'm not sure if I'm off the non-disclosure I signed. I believe I am. That will be a video for another day, and I'll explain why. But the biggest payday I ever had through Getty Images was an image purchase by Apple Computers. I just can't talk about what the image is until I know I am out of that contract, or I could forfeit a lot of the money they paid me. Okay, two more, you guys. This is one I did about 4 evenings ago up in a beautiful little town north of us, about 20 minutes away, called Cambria. Just a gorgeous town. In fact, when we moved to this area, Barry and I were looking around up there to purchase a home, but it is way out of our price range up there. You have to, let's just say, have a lot of money, a lot of moolah in the bank to purchase a place in Cambria. In fact, right over behind me were 3 homes they were redoing that were all probably in the $5 to $10 million range, but this was the view they were getting. And I remember walking around out on these headlands a year and a half ago and seeing these benches. And it dawned on me this would be a cool image with the right clear day sunlight. And the sun is in alignment now with these benches, but we're still in August and that we're still in the fog season. Well, this past week, we have had an offshore flow. Usually during the summer months, it's all onshore, but we've had an offshore. That means it flows from the mountains out to sea, and it basically takes all the fog away. So I've been out almost every evening shooting these gorgeous sunsets. In fact, this morning, as I'm recording this, I woke up to shoot a moonset, and the fog was all back in. But that's okay. It's cool things you can do with fog also. So let's go through this image. Let's go to medium gray. Starts to get a little darker. Let's go to white. Gets even more dark. Okay, let's do the visual trick. And I do this all the time with, I'm going to take that down just a second here. There we go. I do this all the time constantly when I'm processing an image. I will be thinking, okay, does that look good? And then I'll go down like that and I'll look at it because, again, 96% of the people looking at my images are seeing them on their smartphone. Maybe that's a little bigger. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here to, where are we going? To black, right? And let's take that down. And that would look really good against the black background on social media. Okay. And one more here. This is one that's not shot recently. Actually, I've been looking for this image, and this will be my social media post tomorrow. I've learned a lot of new tricks working with the Tony Kuiper 9, the TK9 panel. For those of you that don't know what that is it started out as a luminosity panel where you can use masks. And if I'm losing you, there are videos on my YouTube site where I go in and I explain basic masking and what have you. It's $29.99 for this panel. I would have paid $2,900 for this panel. It is the ultimate that it's allowed me to become where I can control any section of that photo and work on it. You know, generally in Lightroom, we're just working on global, and then they've got the new masks. You know, I hear all of you saying, hey, Don, they got masks. Yeah, they do, but they're very crude. Once you get on to learning how to work one of these panels, and there are other ones that are out there. I'm not just saying Tony Kuiper. I happen to think Tony Kuiper has the most complete panel of anybody. And in my show notes, I will leave my discount code DS15, and that will get you 15% off of not only the panel, but any of the incredible videos that Sean Bagshaw has put out. I've learned so much from Sean that I highly encourage you to get these videos and start learning this. But if you're happy doing it the way you're doing, there's a lot of great AI programs out there. I get it. And if good enough is good enough for you guys, then that's all that needs to be said. I'm trying to go to that umph degree with my processing. So I pulled this photo out this morning, this raw file, August 2013. I'll never forget this day. I was 3.5 weeks out from my partial knee replacement surgery on crutches. Gary Hart and I had just completed the first of 2 monsoon workshops. This is up on the north rim of the Grand Canyon at Imperial Point, the highest point in the park, 8,200 feet, if I recall correctly. And we were set up, and this bolt of lightning hit just literally maybe 100 yards from us. There was another student that had stayed over for a day. She was with us, and I remember turning around, and they were on a dead run to the car, and I'm on crutches. And I left my camera on the tripod. Actually, I left the tripod. I took my camera off, and on one crutch, I hopped on my good leg all the way back to the car, praying that I wasn't going to get hit with a bolt of lightning. It was right on top of us. So this is the picture I got. I've gone back and reprocessed it. This part of the image up here was really hard to control, and this part down here. But I think I've gotten it pretty close to the way I want it. And let's do the same thing now. Let's go through that. Of course, it's going to look at its lightest against black. You guys are all educated with that now. And what I'm going to do is change the background to medium gray. And let's start to bring that up. Okay. And then let's go to white. And we're going to take that down. I actually think, you can see it looks a little dark on white, which it should, but I actually think this image is processed well enough now. Let me bring it up about midway that it could work against any of these backgrounds. I think it works there. I think it works on the white, and I think it works on the black. By the way, in Photoshop and Lightroom, you have dark gray. We haven't even mentioned that. And you have light gray. So I think the point to sum this all up that I want to make is be aware of your surround. First of all, get your hands on Margaret's book. Again, Vision and Art. I'll leave it in a link. I'll go try to find it on Amazon, and I'll leave it in a link. The biology of seeing. It's going to explain so many more things in this book that you did not know on how our eye brain works. It's just a wealth of information. And I just am trying to impart on you how important it is to think about your surround and how that affects your perception of tones and colors in your image. So I hope this video has helped you guys out. I'm hoping to get to where I can do 2 videos a month. We're going through a lot right now, Barry and I. With travel, with other circumstances going on in our life. And I just don't quite have the time to be doing it. I'm also working, and this is pretty exciting, on a brand new project that I hope to have done in time for the holidays. And I will start dropping hints as we get going closer. Let's just say it's going to involve a lot of video recording in my future, and I'm looking forward to doing it. We've gotten the music produced by my son, and I have to just spend the time to sit down and actually start recording. And that's all I'm going to say for now. Every month I will allude a little bit more to what this project is. So, hey, thank you. If you've stuck to the end, guys, please go to my website, check out my workshops. Just 3 workshops I want to mention that are coming up between now and December, all in the United States. And I'll leave the links to them down below. We're going to be out next month, the 3rd week of September, for beautiful fall color in Grand Teton National Park. Our home base is going to be Jackson Hole. This will be my 11th year of teaching that workshop. We had it sold out. We recently had 2 people had to cancel for medical reasons. Send me an email, don@donsmithphotography.com, or you can go on my website, don@donsmithphotography.com, and Barry will get in touch with you and we'll get you signed up. Then in late November, it's not going to interfere with your Thanksgiving holiday. It's going to be the last few days in November. We're going to be at Big Sur, the northern part of Big Sur. Big Sur coast is 90 miles. I currently live now down on the southern end. Cambria is technically where it stops. But the northern end, the first 27 miles, which I happen to believe is the most accessible and beautiful, although I'm learning a lot of locations down here. And we will end, I believe that ends on December 1st. I don't have the dates right up in front of me. We have one opening left. And then in the third week of December, because this times out to the full moon cycle, Ron Madra and I, and by the way, Ron Madra will be with me in Big Sur. Ron Madra will also be with me in Monument Valley. And we're going to base that one around the full moon, rise and set. We have agreements with the Navajos out there. We're one of very few groups that has this in. It's taken us years to develop it, where they will actually go into traditional Navajo gear. And it's going to be half environmental portraiture / all the great locations of Monument Valley. Last year we ran 2 of these, and we were fortunate enough to get snow for the morning of 2 mornings. It melts very quickly out there, but we were able to shoot some great vistas in Monument Valley, including the most famous of the Mittens and Merrick Butte with snow. And that is that's incredible to be able to do something. But check that workshop out. The other reason we like doing it that time of the year, we pretty much have the valley to ourselves. And then after that, I'm off to Iceland for a sold out workshop. And then I come back in in March, and I'll stop here. And I'm going to be doing my first out of Chicago workshop that's called Out of Big Sur. Yes, I'll be back at Big Sur, but we'll be doing some different things. The one I'm doing in December is going to be focused around the Keyhole Arch on Pfeiffer Beach. And it's when the sun aligns and you get that beautiful shaft of sunlight coming through the arch. I've got pictures on my website of it. Check it out. That's going to be one of the main shoots we're going to be doing in that workshop. So I'm going to wrap it up. I went way further than I should have. I hope this really helps you. Think about your background, you guys. Get out there, keep shooting, keep creating, and you know what? It's good for your soul. So until next time, you all take care.